All right, starting from where we left off, yes, the last class, not yesterday, we had begun practicing the English paper from November. Yes, on beta, so far you are the only one. For some reason, the other participants haven't been showing. Anyway, right? So, can you see my screen? Okay. So, question 1A of the comprehension of section A, right? We read this text the last time. We couldn't get to the question, so let's work through the questions this time. In what way does the geography of the Strait of Dardanelles make it one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world? Now, this particular phrase, one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, is given in inverted commas, and it refers to line 2. Now, what line 2 refers to over here is not where you find the answer, but where you will find this phrase, one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. Okay, that means still have to look for the answer, which is somewhere close by. So let me know when you found it. The first question, so it should be easy to attempt. You can type out the answer or use your mic. The question is, all right, question A, you can read it. All right, so I'm moving back to the text. Excuse me. All right, so have you found the answer? Well, okay, so you're saying that the answer to this particular question is that it's popular with swimmers from all around the world. Now, if we just go back and take a look at the question is, right, about the geography and what makes it one of the busiest shipping lanes, right? So something to do with shipping and cargo and travel by sea, not swimming right now. Okay. And if we just read ahead from line 2, right, it says this narrow strip of water flows between four seas, offering access from Asia and Europe. So it wouldn't have surprised us when we stood at the water's edge, peering through the thin screen of trees to see huge slow tankers and freighters filled with cargo. Now, what part over here is the actual answer? Well, seeing slow tankers and freighters filled with cargo is not the reason. It is an explicit question. Yes, it is an explicit question. Right, so it's right there. Right, you can say it flows between four seas and it offers access from Asia and Europe. Right, either one of those two, I believe. Let me check just in case. Yeah, right? So either of those, okay. Right. So one thing to just keep in mind, right? Don't try to complicate an answer if it's not complicated. Obviously, it seems obvious, but it's how the brain works. Maybe you're in a state of mind where maybe you're panicked, maybe you're stressed. It's very much possible during an exam, and so you're looking for something that's not there. Right, so leave the extra thinking for the implicit and the writer's meaning and effect questions, perhaps, right? The ones that are a bit more technical, and the directed writing. Okay. Explain, question B, explain what Callum is feeling when he says war, line 6. And again, line 6 is only referring to where you'll find this little interjection. Okay, so what is he feeling? Now, this is probably an implicit question, right? So there it is, line 6. You can see the word, right? And so when answering such a question, what you want to do is you want to read a bit before and a bit after, right? So, right, you're going to read, it shouldn't have surprised us when we stood at the water's edge, peering through the thin screen of trees to see huge slow tankers and freighters filled with cargo. Right? Was said Callum, I agree. This was the open heart of Turkish industry. We felt a long way from the peaceful lakes and clear rivers of the forests back home. Right? So it's an implicit meaning question. So you have to think about why is he exclaiming like that? Right? What does he mean? Okay. You're no surprised to see the huge slow tankers and freighters filled. Uh, kind of, right? Kind of, but you'd want to take maybe a step back and look at it. Okay, and look at it from a broader view, right? So it does have to do with the shipping freighters, right? And so when they're looking at it and they can see the huge slow tankers, and it's the mention of the right the Turkish industry, and then they make a reference to the peaceful lakes and clear rivers of the forests back home, right? So perhaps he makes that, what's the wording of the question, right? Okay, says. So perhaps he says, he expresses himself this way to see like the size of the river, like it's huge and it's busy. It's not clear, right? And even the water isn't as clear as back it mentioned, right? Clear rivers and peaceful, right? So it's busy, there's ships in there, the water's not as clear, perhaps it's not as clean, right? And so just that contrast from what he had, from what they've experienced at home, right, as compared to what they're experiencing now. Okay. Okay. Next question is, from paragraph 2, give two ways in which the waters of the strait are different from the waters Calum and Matt are used to swimming. Right? So two ways in how they are different from the waters they are used to swimming in, from paragraph 2. And this is, so we're still here. Question C. Have you gotten the answer? Okay. So the question says, in which two ways in which the waters of the strait are different from, right? So you want to focus on the right waters of the strait, right? What's given is how the waters are back home. So the waters back home are peaceful, right? And they are clear, right? Now the peaceful refers to the fact that there are no ships in there, okay? And the clear means that, probably they're not dirty, they're not polluted, okay? So, so the water of the strait is busy, it's noisy, right? There are, like, ships going through it, and because they said that the what it felt a long way from the clear rivers at home, meaning it was very different from the clear rivers at home. And so uh, right, means the strait was polluted. And right, so because we're working on this right now, okay, so now what we have, okay, and this is a good example of going back and correcting your answer. So right, since the peacefulness of the lakes and the busy and the clear water of the rivers is something that's used for contrast with the what's the name of this thing again, the Strait of Dardanelles, okay. And so what I suggested for uh, this expression over here when he says whoa, right, and I offered something similar is because right, he saw that it was so busy and the water wasn't clean. Now there's an overlap in the answers, and that's not something we want, right? And so we want to go back, and so we're going to see that okay, right, for the first one it's because it connects from Asia and Europe, right? So or it says over here it flows between four seas, so that's the answer for A. And the answer for C is giving a contrast between the strait and the, you know how busy and polluted it is compared to what they're used to. And so this one would actually be what you suggested, okay. And that would be that this expression of his is in response to seeing these huge tankers, okay. So we can go back and correct our answer. All right, now there are certain cases where an answer has like two answers have some overlap between them, but that's not like the regular case. So if you're seeing that two of your answers are pretty much the same thing, then right, maybe you're going to think about changing one of them. Now, not randomly, but obviously going back and looking for something else, right? Okay. Question D. Identify two details that show why people call this the world's oldest swim. Line 13. So that's where you find this phrase, right? And then from around it, you're going to need to find two details for why it is called the world's oldest swim. Okay, so line 13 is down here, right? World's oldest swim. And so you're going to read all of this and see if you're able to find 2 points. Well, uh, as it is populated because of cargo ships, well, the cargo ships wouldn't have to do with how old it is, right? So maybe read like paragraph 3, and then maybe right you can get a better attempt at the answer. Okay, so the strait is scattered with the dusty ruins of castles. What else? You need a second point. Do you have a second point? Okay, so you say that, right, there are ruins of ancient castles. Then the legendary city of Troy was situated there, and right, Leander swam across the strait to meet his lover. Okay, incidentally, all three of these are valid points, and then there's a fourth one over here. Lord Byron, right, attempted to swim across it, and right, he died in 1810. Now, there are actually four possible points that you can use as your answer, right? And just a minute, right? So the four possible points you can use as your answer. You only need two, okay? And you're only given space for two. So, right, it is right. I mean, if you're confident, right? If you're confident about the point, then you write it down. There is always in your responses, there is always a bit of a gamble, right? Because we can't really get into the examiner's head and know exactly what they're expecting from us. So that is the gamble. But right, we try our best. Okay. Next question, explain. So this is probably going to be, well, yes, the keyword, right? So whatever you point your finding should be relevant to, right, reasons why is called the word of Odysseum, for example, in this, right, in D. And so we've given it over here in line 13, and so we read before it, right? And so the way this paragraph is written, right, is so. No wonder people call this the world's oldest swim. So that means that these are all possible reasons for why people are calling this the world's oldest swim, right? Now, it is very well possible that Cambridge has allowed for any two of the 4 points mentioned over here, right? The scattered and the city of Troy, and but maybe it's possible, right, that because the word swim is used, and so the scattered dusty, I mean, what I would have done, to be honest, right, if I were attempting this paper, right, that I would not have gone for the dusty ruins and for the city of Troy, because the city of Troy and the dusty ruins have nothing to do with swimming, right? But Leander swimming across and Lord Byron swimming across in 1810 clearly are related to swimming, and it's like way back, right, in Greek myths and in 1810, which was quite a while ago, right, more than 200 years ago. And so that to me seems more relevant. And in that case, I would take the safer approach, right? are these 2 points definitely about swimming? These 2 points are definitely about swimming. I'm going to go with those, right? And so that's the safe, and Cambridge is allowing for that. Going for the other ones, or the ancient castles and the city of Troy, Cambridge has allowed for that. I don't know what's in the examiner's head, right? So maybe I'm taking a risk, right? So you all also want to play it safe, because at the end of the day, you want your marks and you want your grade. Okay. So question E for 2 marks, and so we need 2 points of explanation. Explain what Matt is thinking when he says they weren't really talking to me, right? In line 24. So let's go there and see. Line 24 is here, right? And so what we want to look at, right, is all of this actually, right? Because you've done a question that goes up till here. Now there's a question that's coming from, right? And so we actually want to read all of this to understand why, what this line means. And once we understand that, we need to explain it, right? Because perhaps it's like an implicit question. It's not perhaps clearly given. Maybe it is, right? And so see what you can find, and you need 2 points. So go ahead and try. Just a minute. Yeah, of course you can take a look at the question. Adjusting the zoom level. Let's go to Okay, yeah. The question E. All right, so you have it in the chat. So what 2 marks? All right, do you have an answer?
Hello, yeah. So I was thinking maybe, can you hear me by the way?
Yes, yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was thinking maybe, I guess, what Matt was thinking that Matt was, I think, thinking that he is not like able to swim as because of the weather conditions.
Mhm.
Um, so he thought maybe they were gonna make fun of me. So he replied that they weren't really talking to me.
Okay, let's
I
let's
guess
take
I'm
let's take
not sure.
that's okay. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Explain what he's thinking when he says this. Okay, now when he's the narrator, you can see it's not really a dialogue, right? There are no inverted commas over here, right? The inverted commas end way up here, and then this is just narration, right? So he's just voicing his thoughts. So what do they say, right? The race organizers hosted this. Okay. Amid all of this anticipation, though, was unwelcome news. Weather forecasters, why is there a hyper? Okay. Weather forecasters predicted winds nearing gale force and seas 2 meters high. If you're not used to conditions like these, warn the organizers, do not swim tomorrow. Everyone laughed nervously, rationalizing our joint determination to go ahead with the swim by accusing the organizers of being pessimistic. Surely the remarks were intended for the less capable swimmers among us, as a question mark, right? So they're not even sure if that's like so. So they're just trying to, make themselves feel confident, right? If they were full stop, they would be like, yes. So they're not talking to me; they're talking to someone else. Okay, but there's a question mark, so that's something you want to pick up on, right? They weren't really talking to me, and so there are two ways you can look at this, right? One is that he was really confident about his swimming capabilities, and that he'd be able to make the swim tomorrow, the next day. And the other was perhaps he was feeling nervous and he was trying to hide his nervousness because they say that everyone laughed nervously, right? To show
Yeah.
their determination, and that the organizers were the ones being pessimistic. So there are two ways to go about this. Okay.
Okay.
And so again, what you can write is 2 points is that he was confident and that he really thought that maybe this was a warning for the less capable swimmers, right?
Hmm.
Or you could say that he was nervous because that's also given over here, right? And that he
He
was,
was nervous, but he was not trying to show it to the
yeah.
to
So he
his
he
son.
so not trying to show it. He was trying not to show it, if that's how you want to phrase it, or he was trying to hide,
Okay.
right? So both ways. Okay.
Okay.
Next we have okay. So in paragraph 6, how does Matt feel on the morning of the swim? Give two details from the text to support your answer. Okay, so this question is both implicit and explicit. Okay, explicit why? Well, implicit first of all. What are Matt's feelings on the morning of the swim? That feeling will not be clearly given to you. Okay, so you have to figure it out. The details from the text to support your answer, well, that's obviously explicit. So you're going to note down two parts of the text from which you were able to conclude that Matt is feeling so and so. Okay, so this question is both implicit and explicit. So going to the text, going to paragraph 6, right? How he was feeling on the morning of the swim. So all of this, right? Well, not necessarily all of this, but in here.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was asking that we have to write about maths, feeling, and
And two details from the text to show the examiner how you came to that
okay, okay,
conclusion, right? That why,
okay,
why
okay.
why you think Matt is feeling the way you're saying that he's feeling.
All right, all right. I think, yeah, as we read earlier, that Matt was nervous because of the weather conditions. So while swimming, he was very nervous and scared, maybe that uh, the weather's gonna be windy. So I guess we can write he was afraid or maybe nervous.
And what part of the text from paragraph 6 tells you that he might be
Um,
nervous?
yeah, the tension was palpable.
The tension was palpable, yes. Okay.
The
And
tension was palpable, and conversations were muted, and like everyone was focused on their, like, when you are nervous, you cannot like frankly speak. You are just
hmm,
focused on being getting out safely. I think that due to the tension was palpable and the conversations were muted.
okay,
Also
so
there's written that there was no sign of ed. I don't know what's
ED, no,
ed.
it's not ED, it's Ed. Okay, your response is correct. He was feeling nervous, and the 2 points are tension was palpable and conversion muted. I'm rushing because the meeting is about to end any second. And yeah,
Okay,
so
okay,
good attempt, and we'll pick this up on Friday, inshallah.
okay, sir. Okay, inshallah. See you. Bye. Allah Hafiz.
Allah.